You are listening to the Hello Sport Podcast.
What is up, punters and dribblers? Welcome back to another episode of All Talk with Tom and Eddie, Hello Sport Podcast.
That's us.
Back for another week talking to people of note, athletes of note, people doing cool things. Now, this next gentleman joining us is a friend of the show. We did speak to him maybe last year sometime, but he certainly never appeared on an All Talk. He is an Olympic medal winner, an Olympic medalist. I don't know how you say that. He's a bronze medalist at the Olympics for boxing.
He has a bronze medal.
Bronze medal for Olympics. There you go. That's way easier.
Kid can box.
Kid's
a great boxer. Kid's gone pro. Kid's gone back to chase Olympic glory. Unfinished business sort of stuff. Yeah. As a boy, dreamt of gold for the nation. Bronze not going to cut it for the kid. So he's coming back, trying to ply his trade, trying to make the nation proud. He's had a big year, an up and down year, but
he's back.
One of the most interesting people you're ever going to talk to, ever going to hear from, the great, the powerful Harry Garside. Yeah, you interested in a bloke you don't know, mate?
Yeah,
He's just had a kid who hasn't named it.
Hasn't named it.
Yeah.
Don't you have to fuck him when you leave? Don't you have to chuck on the birth certificate?
Oh, just leave it blank,
point,
mate.
Actually. Yeah, but I had to do when they did it with my wife. They had her last name on it. Now I'm a modern man and I don't really give a shit. But there was a part of me that was like, I'm not that modern.
No shame in admitting it, mate.
100%, mate. It's all in us. We want that legacy.
Listen, I can't help it. Yeah, I need to pass on my genes or pass on the name. My genes have been passed on successfully.
Yeah,
as far as we know.
But then after your grandchildren, no one fucking remembers you anyway. So it doesn't.
I know.
Does it matter?
So true.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, do you ever think about your great-great-grandfather?
You don't. You go above you to the grandparents, below you to your grandchildren. That's it.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
it's funny. Like
maybe you're a bit like if you win Olympic gold, like people might be able to look you up, right?
This fucking podcast as well. What are you talking about?
Well, sure.
But again,
Hello Sport.
Yeah. People are like, oh, wow, I remember that.
Do you reckon? How long do you reckon people talk about Hello Sport for?
Well, listen, maybe the
1,000 years.
Mate, actually, yeah, a fair bit.
1,000 years.
Talking to a few boys this morning about it. Actually.
Well, there you go. That's one generation we've got covered. Now we just need to do a fuckload more.
1,000 years worth.
It is funny though. I remember like when one of my grandparents died, and you're like cleaning out their shit, and you're looking at these photos, which to them at the time was like them and all their mates, and you're like, you know, things like you hold on. Like I've got photos from like when I was a kid, at like it's in a sports competition or whatever, and as soon as I'm dead, my kids are like, fucking chuck that shit out. What are you talking, under 10s water polo? Why the fuck's he still got this?
Yeah. You still take photos?
Yeah, exactly. There's some planning.
Physical copies? What the fuck's this, you old dickhead?
Yeah, that's true.
It's old school, baby.
It is
I
old
like
school.
it. You well, mate? What's been happening?
I'm very well, yeah.
It's been fucking, obviously there's a shitload that's happened since you were last here, but it was almost like, I swear the last time you were here, like the next day you were in the newspaper almost for like going on the, what's the reality show?
I'm a celeb.
I'm a celebrity, get me out of here. Like that
I was trying to think today, when was the time I went on? So yeah, it would have been just before.
What was that fucking like? I mean, I think we heard Bo Ryan was on there, I think, but like.
Bo was on something.
He was on to something. He's on a lot.
I think he was on that. Yeah. It was unreal experience. You never think when you start a sport at the age of 9 that you're gonna be bumping shoulders with like Pete Hellier or, you know, I'm just like a boy from the sticks who just loves the sport of boxing and going on something like that. It was grouse, but I lost like 10 kilos on that show and was.
You don't have 10 kilos to lose.
Mate, I was really struggling. I remember the last, because there was no mirrors in there, and on one of the last days, because I was in there for 31 days, they took us into a Portaloo on one of the last trials. And I could see myself in the mirror. I looked like I was from Dallas Buyers Club. I look very sick.
So you don't get the Oscar for it, unfortunately.
Yeah, looked very, very sick.
Fucking hell. And was it like, I guess, because like, was it intimidating in any sense, like with people you don't know? Like, obviously you have been known for a while, but like in that scenario, or did it quickly like melt away in terms of like the who was who and like, oh fuck, it's Peter Hellier, or was that always kind of there?
Oh, for myself, it was kind of there for a big portion of it. Maybe not the whole time, but a big portion of it. I felt as well like the first week, I haven't watched it back yet, but the first week I very much felt there was such big energy. I don't know if you know Nathan from Geordie Shore.
I remember Geordie Shore.
Huge energy, just like massive energy. And there was a couple other people with massive energy, and I was just like, I felt quite introverted at the start. I felt like I really felt quite scared because these are like big time celebrities, I guess.
Yeah.
I felt like I was there just making up numbers. So I was I found me like took me about a week or so to sort of find my feet and just like I guess be myself, but I found it like quite scary at the start.
Did you find like you watch shows like Love Island? And I'm not comparing your show to Love Island.
Well, there was no fucking on I'm a Celebrity, get me out of here.
From
what I saw.
Not that we're aware of.
No.
He might be able to fill us in.
Yeah.
Is that these people have been living together for like 72 hours and one of them will get evicted and people are bawling. Like I go, is this acting or do you just form these really strong connections really quickly in an environment like that?
I definitely, 100%. The first eviction was 2 weeks, so you're on top of each other for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And when the first people left, it's like we were all sort of waiting for that moment, and it was quite sad. I don't know if I was like bawling. I don't think anyone was bawling, but like maybe that other stuff's acting. But it was quite sad. Like you're sharing something quite unique, right? Like how often in our world do we ever just like break away? You mean have no interaction with the world, have no phone, nothing to stimulate you, and you're there just connected to people. Like 12 people, it's quite a small group, and it was like quite emotional, quite deep. You mean a lot of laughs, a lot of fun, but like you're sharing something quite special that we don't do, and we're animals, and I think it's like the most primitive place we can go is like a space like I'm a Celeb.
Yeah. Are you super close with people from the show now?
I actually caught up with a few this morning. Yeah. So I pretty close. Obviously, life happens as well. Like you know what it's like once you leave sort of school or something like that. You sort of you're always gonna be mates because you share something quite special. But like life happens.
Even like an old job. Like I remember people when I used to work.
Seriously,
like even
that's a good example.
When I was in the Sanny game, I used to sling sanitizer during the pandemic. Not pre-pandemic. That would have been very weird.
That might be news to the audience as well.
Yeah. No one's heard that. But we used to like you hang out every day, or like even on weekends, and it becomes a thing. And then I don't sling Sanny anymore. I don't see any of those motherfuckers. You know, it just
100%, mate, 100%. Like you go from seeing these people all the time, people that you're close with, and then just nothing.
I actually made a list on my phone because I remember thinking that a couple of weeks ago, and I made a list on my phone because I'm like, I've met so many amazing people in my life that I'm like, I want to stay in touch with them for the rest of my life.
So where were we on the list?
Yeah, mid-pack.
Okay. Mid?
You're on the list.
like high mid?
I don't know if
high mid?
I don't know if I should, high mid. I don't know if I should say this on the podcast. I've said this to you before, but I remember when I split up with my ex-missus, she knew my password, so I changed my passwords and I put your boy's name in the password.
Yeah, that's right. I remember that.
I don't know if I should say that on the podcast. No, who cares?
Well, we should be high. Like that's
we're password level.
That's like low high.
Yeah, that is actually.
It was just after I was on the podcast. I was like, "Fuck, what do I make it?"
I love that I was your password.
Yeah,
that pumps me up.
Yeah, but then when you hear your mid pack, it sort of changes it a little bit. You're like, well, again, thought maybe if you're a password level, you're not top, but you're like closer to the top.
Yeah, close to mum and dad.
Yeah. Exactly.
I would say it more as like Cooper Cronk on the level, like the hierarchy of great halves. He's not an immortal, but he's a rung below.
We're a rung below.
But he can see the top rung as well. That's how I would sort of picture Tom and I in your friendship circles.
Do you watch the show back once you're done? And like, do you have any reflection on like the way you're portrayed on there? Or is it pretty straight, like the way they show you?
I haven't watched it back. I know I'm 90% sure that everyone else has watched it back, but I obviously come back to some pretty heavy stuff. And I'm like went from the most positive experience, like that was one of the best experiences of my life, besides obviously the Olympics and a few other things. And then to go into something negative, I didn't want to watch it because I didn't want to tarnish the positive experience with a negative experience. So I still haven't watched it. I feel like I'm personally, mentally coming to a really, really good headspace. So I feel like I'll probably watch it before the year's out for sure.
What was it like coming back and like just fucking like, did you know before walking out of the airport that they were all waiting there for you and the cops were coming and all that sort of shit?
Nah. So I did know, I did know something was up when I landed in South Africa. So I leave Australia, everything's fine. And then I find out a few things when I land in South Africa, and we've got like maybe 4 days and you lose your phone for 3 of them. So I find out there's a bit of a panic. I'm like, whoa, what the hell's going on? And then I call some people who I know could help in those situations. And then you kind of forget about it, right? Because I knew I did nothing wrong.
Yeah.
And I'm like there'll be nothing happen when I get back. I knew I did nothing wrong. And then I come back and it's a pretty interesting story. You pick up your bags, and with my dad, we've just flown business class for the first time. And the border security are like, Harry, come through here. I'm thinking, fuck, how good is this? They know who I am.
Hey, come this way, Dad.
Go.
Oh, yeah, with me, Dad.
Shortcut.
And I walk in, there's just like 4 coppers there. And my heart instantly drops. I'm thinking, what have I got in my bag? Fuck, another Chappelle Corby charge. Here we go.
yeah.
I'm like, you start panicking, right?
But again, still not thinking.
I didn't think instantly, no.
Yeah.
And then as soon as I sat down and there was some detectives, and I was like, I knew what was going on. And I pretty much said, like, mate, you can have a look at my phone now and this will all be over. But I understand they've got to do their job. And yeah, it was a shit situation to walk into.
Yeah,
But
fuck
it's
yeah.
a terrible situation.
Are you like, I guess, like, were you frustrated at the way it was handled in the sense that it's like, obviously, like, you know, they're doing their job based on accusations and shit, but like right at the airport, media, like all that shit, it seemed like
Tip off.
And especially in the fullness of time, like it was a bit of a, let's get this famous guy, let's get as much attention on this as possible.
It definitely felt like that, yeah, for sure. And for the charges that they were, it wasn't like they were actually proper assault charges. It was common assault.
Right.
Common assault is like almost like road rage, right?
Oh,
so
really?
It's like quite low form where it's like a letter in the mail would have been
Sufficient.
enough, sufficient enough for that, and with the evidence that they had, but also as well, like I don't know, they're doing their job, and I don't know, like I'm grateful I'm through it now. When I was like going through it, I was like so angry, but like now I'm like I couldn't really care less. Like one door closes, another door opens, and everything is always an opportunity, not a problem. And I learnt more. I'm so grateful that situation happened because I learnt more this year than any other year. I turned into a man this year. I'm so happy.
Was it frustrating, like, you say you were sitting there and the detective's like, mate, I can show you your phone now, we'll just clear this up here, that it took as long as it did?
Yeah.
Is that just like, are they being thorough? Is it getting drawn out? Like, are you just sitting there going, mate,
yeah, and just more
this should be done?
The reputational damage.
100%.
Right? Yeah. It's like, they obviously didn't know what I had on my phone, but like, to think I probably lost $500,000 worth of like opportunities in that, and I'm a boy who come from no money, right?
Yeah.
That stuff sets you up for life.
100%.
You have to be smart with it.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's frustrating, but it's also like I'm 26. I just turned 26, so it's like I've got so many years to make that back. And as well, like as I just said before, like I'm so grateful that situation happened. I know that sounds so stupid, but I learned more in that last 6 months than any other period of my life, and you know who's real, who's not real, who reaches out, who stays quiet, who lends a hand.
Yeah.
I mean, prime example, Hamish McLaughlin. You ever heard of him?
Yeah, the Channel 7.
Channel 7 host, yeah. Like, he didn't owe me any loyalty, but he's a really, really good man. I've been over to his house a couple of times, very early in our friendship. But I did something with him. I recorded it in January, and it was like quite big. I was quite happy to be a part of it. And I was thinking, he kept trying to call me after, and I was like really panicked because everyone just ran for the hills. All my brand deals and stuff like that ran for the hills. And I'm thinking he's just gonna be another one. He's just gonna run for the hills as well. I finally built the courage up to answer his phone call, and he goes, "How you feeling, mate?" I'm like, "Oh, mate, to be honest, like I'm pretty flat right now." And he's like, didn't say anything about that. And I said, he's like, right at the end of the call, he's like, "This is being launched on this date." I'm like, "You still going through with it?" He's like, "Yeah, absolutely, mate. Absolutely. I'll never turn my back on you." And I'm like, he owed me nothing. And he was like, and you in moments like that, you see who's real and who's not, right? Yeah. And I'm really grateful for that because, like, I think I was a young boy when I first sort of come into fame. And I don't know, now I feel like I'm, like, it sounds so stupid, but a man.
Yeah.
Which is nice.
Well, fuck, like, you know, it's such a hectic experience to have to go through that. And one where you're like, you could be forgiven for losing your faith in fucking humanity generally, right? Where you're just going like, Jesus Christ, like the gravity of false accusations like that and like what they can do to you, obviously monetarily, but just generally, right? Like it's done. Everything you've worked, like you could be forgiven for being like bitter and like fucking, you know. Have you found it difficult to sound like Oprah, but to trust again?
To love again?
Do you know what I mean, though, right?
Yeah, I've wrote so many. I've been writing heaps of poetry recently because it's quite heavy emotion, and I wrote heaps of poems about that. Like I never want this situation to take away from this. It's like I'm going to say because I'm quite deep, but like take away my ability to love. Like I won't let it beat me like that because you think about love, and I don't know if you like feel it with your kids, with your partner, like. It's the most pure thing. And I love when I'm in love with someone, and I love when I'm sharing my life with someone, and I never want that situation to take that away from me. Absolutely, there's a lot to unpack, and I haven't started properly dating or allowing myself to fall in love again, but it will come. It will come. But like, absolutely, there's a bit to unpack in it.
Yeah.
A few trust issues now. Yeah.
Shocker.
So yeah.
Yeah, shock horror. Is that something that you feel like you need to actively seek help to like unpack?
Yeah.
Or is it you just think that time's probably going to be enough for you?
Time's always a big thing, but I've always sought help.
Yeah.
Like, I've always seen sports psychs or psychologists, and I'm like a big one of like, I always want to be better. Even like, I know everyone I tell this to is like looking at me like I'm stupid because they know the situation, but even that whole situation, right? I have to take some accountability in making that situation occur, right?
How
It's
so?
like, as in like in a relationship, we both bring problems to it, right? We're not, neither of us are perfect, and we're all wounded children acting like adults. And that's what happens in a relationship. And I've got to take some responsibility in how I showed up in the 2 years that me and my ex-partner were together. So I will reflect on that, and I'll grow so a situation like that never happens again, right? And I will try and critique myself as much as I can so I can be a better partner, a better son, better friend.
Is there an element of that, though, where you're sort of like blaming yourself for something, like for someone else's actions in that regard, where it's like, you know, everyone brings their own shit, right? But like, it's not your fault in any way for like that sort of level of an outcome.
Yeah.
Do you reckon?
Yeah. It's funny because I think my natural standpoint being, I don't know if it was from my upbringing, but it comes from like, I'll throw myself under the bus before I blame anyone else, right?
Yeah.
And individual sport, it's like when you lose, it's on you. It's on you. It's on no one else. So I understand that's probably my standpoint, but I do understand that also is a big asset to have because it'll always make me reflect on my own actions so I can be better and show up better as a friend, partner, son, whatever. Yeah.
How relieving was it then when, because like even before we were talking about like it took a while for the police to sort of do what they did, but I think I remember you saying like comparative to some people, it actually kind of turned around quite quickly, right? Where they dropped all the charges and then it's now flipped. That like must have just been one of the great weights off your shoulder. And then to see, you know, obviously it's tinged with a little bit of like maybe cynicism, but like how quickly everything sort of the general sentiment has changed back to being like, holy fuck, this poor cunt's been through it. Like, how's that experience been like where it's like everything's gone, oh shit, now it's all coming back?
Yeah, it was that month, so it was 4 weeks. So 4 weeks I got charged on the 2nd or something, and 4 weeks later it was all over. And just like that month, like to think about the depths of hell that I was in and then to have that relief and weight lifted off the shoulders when it was, I guess, over for myself, was massive. And I guess it just, like, as I said before, and I'll keep saying, everything's always an opportunity, not a problem. Like, it sort of was the propel forward that I needed. I made a deal to myself in the jungle that I'm going for the Olympics. I'm going to try and do something that's never been done and win a gold medal for Australia in boxing. And it's like that situation just made me have to focus on that because I couldn't sit in my bedroom and be sad because it was just like, if I did that, I probably would still be there.
Yeah.
So I just focused on my goals for that whole month. And then when it was all over, I could properly just like sort of cut the ties with that whole situation and focus on Paris 2024.
Eddie, I want to talk to you about a little friend of mine by the name of Neds, and it's not you, obviously. It's the betting platform.
Well, I'm Ned, not Neds.
No, it's true. So look, there's two sort of elements to my punting, right? There's my about even punting and there's my civilian punting. My about even punting was not great on the weekend. My civilian punting was pretty good.
Who'd you get up?
I had a great weekend on the ponies, dude. It's pony season. My nose is blocked. My eyes are itchy. You know what that means?
Pony season.
It's fucking pony season, dude.
Pony season.
And I was
Can you
getting
hear
around.
him? Giddy up, baby.
Do you know how you would have fucking known, Eddie?
Did they peel and work?
If you were in the bloody Neds group on the weekend, you would have got my box try and you would have got my bloody osmosis. Now, Tobler didn't actually give me osmosis. I went back and saw that he had it in his tips, but a dribbler shot me that saying osmosis. Next.
Paying?
250?
Nice and short.
No, it was more than that.
Maybe 3?
I thought it was more than that.
Nah.
To be honest.
It was a pretty short price favourite, but
I'll go and find
got up
it.
regardless.
But listen.
Nothing like just really ramming home a short price favourite at the punter and the dribbler because they get uppity about it, which I like. Oh, mate, it's not paying $30, so it doesn't count.
No, you may.
Winners win, bro.
Winners win.
Winners win. Now, if you want to get some winning done of your own, or at least have a crack at it, Ned's is the place to do it. Best in the business, the best in the business.
Chances are you're about to lose. For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.
Do you carry with you any do you view people differently? Like obviously you would, but do you hold grudges against people that might have turned their back on you at that time? Like sponsors, for example, that are like, you know what? And I understand that PR is so important to sponsors in this sort of climate, but like, do you look at a brand that sort of turn its back and go, you know what?
Probably
not for me now.
Yeah, probably not so much. There's a couple. There actually is a couple. Yeah, now I think about it.
Name them.
I'll say one that I'm really happy that they stayed by me. Swiss multivitamins.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, because they stuck by me, massively when they didn't have to. They're a massive company, right? And I've got a great relationship with the team there and the people that I've dealt with there. And for them to stick by me, obviously knowing that I've met them numerous times, they believe the person that they've met. And for a massive company like that to stay by me, I'm really grateful. There absolutely was some people who saw more so some companies that like they ran for the hills. But I also do understand the world we live in. No one wants to get cancelled.
Yes.
No one wants to like. You know what I mean? It's the world we live in right now. We all watch what we say. We're all working on eggshells and shit. You know what I mean? It's like it's kind of scary, isn't it? we could say something right now and ruin ourselves. Right?
Well, it's funny. Sorry,
boys. You know the alarms. You're gonna do it with me, all right? You're gonna do it with me.
What are we doing?
What are we doing this time?
Well, think of a goal that you boys have. Maybe you sold out Big Day Rosé in 26 minutes. Maybe I don't know.
20 minutes next time.
20 minutes.
Yeah. Maybe even 19.
So visualize yourself achieving that goal.
All right.
All right.
Boys are sleeping.
I just kept moving it down.
Same.
I got it down like 9 minutes.
I had a 6-pack in mine as well. I don't know what that was about. I was ripped in mine. It was fucking weird. They were selling out so quick.
Making sweet love to my wife, dude. She was loving it.
Dude, I love that. We should do that more. Let's go back.
It's the sec, bruh.
Oh, fucking hell. What were we saying?
Just like dogs and that, grudges.
Oh, yeah. But there was actually, I had a question anyway. Doesn't matter.
Something about the cancel culture. All that
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, look, it's etched. Cancel culture's fuck. Oh, I think that was it. Someone was saying, like, you've already said the thing you'll get cancelled for, which in our racket's fucking. We've probably said many things that we get cancelled for. We just don't know yet.
It's crazy to think, like, you think about, who was the guy? Kevin Hart. Like said something 20 years ago.
Yeah,
it was like ages ago, and he apologized then. I'm pretty sure, and then he gets a job taken off him.
Yeah, the Oscars took it taken away from him as well.
It's pretty that's pretty wild.
It's crazy, right? Like again, when like at the time no one gives a shit, and then like we were talking about this. It's a similar thing we were talking about with Entourage. You remember the show Entourage? Did you ever watch that?
I never watched it. No.
So, and like, I mean, I won't explain what fucking Entourage is, but it's like in the show, watching it now, given the climate, like it's super fucking misogynistic, right? Like it's still a funny show, but chicks are like fucking ornaments, basically. It's like a Hollywood sort of thing. But I remember at the time, like I was 18, maybe in high school, like 17, 18, 16, whatever, like, and you just didn't really bat an eyelid at the sort of the way that they would speak. And
it wasn't even bat an eyelid. I just didn't see it.
Yeah, you didn't see it. Exactly.
Wasn't aware of it. And then you watch it back like, 15 years later. We were watching it the other day in Melbourne. We were looking at each other going, mate, this is punchy. Like some of it, like 95% of it's fine, but there's a couple of things here and there you're like, ooh, yeah, this wouldn't get made anymore.
No, but, you know, like at the time, like you can't go back and fucking cancel a show because it was at the time, like, you know what I mean? Like,
absolutely. We all change, right?
I know.
Yeah, everything's, and it's going to be crazy to think like, when because I look at the older generation sometimes, and I always have empathy, and some of my mates are like got completely different political views to me, and I still respect them. I still love them as a person.
Yeah,
This
exactly.
is what you believe in politically. I couldn't care less. Like
No.
I love you as a person. What you believe in your head, if you believe conspiracy theories, that's fine. Like I couldn't care less.
Like our little mate there, Dio Dave, who's
He's a communist, so we still love him.
pro North Korea, but that's cool. Like
He's pro
we're
North
still-
Korea, yeah. It does listen, and we still love him.
So I don't think he loves us though because of our political.
I know,
So we're
and
trying
that's
to teach him
that's
that
the
sort of
difference.
empathy,
Yeah,
reaching across the political aisle.
You might need to sit down with Harry.
Yeah.
Learn a thing or two about empathy, mate. Okay, Harry's got it dialed, mate. He's not much older than you. He might even be younger than you.
How old are you?
26, just turned 26.
No, I'm 25.
Oh, see,
Oh, it doesn't put no, just the maturity level.
Oh,
difference.
it's just, but it's
I know.
unbelievable.
Yeah, I haven't been to an Olympics, but
You could for smoking cones.
I could if there was an event. I'd be a gold medal for Australia.
Yeah, you could. Iron lungs.
Oh, lungs. That's
When
right.
you before you went to the jungle, but I guess once it was out, like once it had been publicized that you were going to go, there was like some shit with your boxing trainer at the time, and like I guess you separated from him there. At that time, were you? Well, I guess the article was kind of like, oh, you weren't going to box anymore. At least that was maybe the inference, or maybe that's just my memory. But like
I think it was professional boxing.
professional boxing, was that the plan? Were you like, oh, I just want to try for the Olympics? Like, what was that situation?
So I guess to answer that question, I have to go back last year. So a big portion of last year, I felt quite lost, and I couldn't put my finger. I remember like August, September last year, I was just like really lost, and I didn't really know what was going on, and I can happily say or easily say now that I think it was because I was so disconnected to myself. Like as a young boy, I wanted to win a gold medal. It wasn't a bronze medal. Like that was like a success. It was great, but I wanted to win a gold medal, and Australia's never done something like that, and that's what I wanted to do. And I think they shined some money at me after the Olympics, and I walk in that direction, right? Every fighter on my leg besides one did the exact same thing. They didn't win gold, some of them, but they all turned professional after, and I thought that was a natural progression, but I felt really disconnected to myself most of my professional boxing career, and I think it's because I turned my back on that young kid. That young kid almost was a sellout, right? And I was tossing up. There was 3 options at the end of last year: whether I walk away from boxing altogether, whether I stick in professional boxing, set myself up for life with some money and some opportunities, but be disconnected to myself, or make no money but be reconnected to myself and try for the Olympics and win a gold medal. And I actually gave the jungle the place where I was going to figure that out. I was like, this is a hassle, because I was still undecided on what to do. And then I come out of it, halfway through the jungle, I'm like, nah, I'm going for the Olympics for sure. For sure. And ever since I come out, I'm just like full steam ahead.
Going
Paris
for it.
2024, yeah.
So
Sick, dude.
So what was it about the jungle that got you that, gave you the clarity?
So it has to be like, it was the stripping away of the ego, right? When you're living in a big city like this, and I've never lived close to a city like this before, and living in like the east of all places too, and being built up, I guess, by my professional career, getting a lot more media opportunities and stuff like that. That's like the ego. The ego wants me to stay in that. The ego likes that. The ego loves that. Wants the money, wants the fame, wants the attention. That's what you get in professional boxing. And when I went on, it sounds so weird, almost like ironic, because I'm on a TV show, which is getting attention. But in that, you sort of forget you're on a TV show. And everyone there was just like treating me like Harry. And I felt like it was a stripping away of the ego. And I felt like a little boy again who just had a dream of being an Olympic gold medalist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was there any part of that boy, though, that saw that the next step into professional boxing? Or did you just... Was there never really any plan to fall into professional boxing? It just sort of happens after the Olympics. Like, I'm just trying to work out how you saw professional boxing versus amateur Olympic boxing.
So I think growing up, I always thought that was a natural progression. But then I got into professional boxing and I realized that it was like, I'll probably go back to it after the Olympics for sure. Like, absolutely. But I also... Like, Australia's never won an Olympic gold medal for boxing. Like, I'm trying to do something that's never been done before.
Yeah.
And like, I fell in love with sport growing up in memories like John Aloisi, Ubi scoring that goal 2005, Grant Hackett in 2004, all the amazing moments watching Australia in the Com Games, the Olympics, anything Australian, the Ashes. Like, I'm locked in, right?
Yep.
And
Perkins 96.
yeah,
Well,
I wasn't old enough. Yeah, it was 1997. Lane 8. I've watched it. But what a fucking
Lane
race.
8. Unbelievable.
Yeah, what a race. One for the ages. But yeah, I grew up watching stuff like that, right? And I understand you could probably do that in professional boxing, but it's very different. It's an individual thing where I think representing Australia, putting on the green and gold, that's like a patriotism. Every kid wants to go to the Olympics. Every kid wants to wear the green and gold in their chosen sport.
I love that. I love that because they're my favourite memories too, Olympic memories, from like a sporting perspective.
2000 was fucking the shit.
Yeah, we like, I feel like that's my happy place, the year 2000.
Yeah.
The world made sense back then.
Yeah, we would have sold heaps of rosé in the year 2000.
Oh,
if
shit.
I was thinking
Oh,
about it.
mate. Yeah, 9 minutes,
9
8 minutes, 7,
2
6,
minutes,
5,
maybe.
whatever.
Fuck.
So you were saying in the green room earlier that, is it next week or next month, one of the big qualifying events for Paris 2024 is coming out?
Yeah, so it's end of November. So we pretty much between now and then it's just heavy training. We're going to Europe next month for like 3 weeks. Some competition, mostly training. And then the big one's 9 weeks away. We've got the Pacific Games, so you got to win that one. Australia usually has a big success rate at the Pacific Games, but those islander countries, you can never overlook them in a sport like boxing. So athletic, can bang usually, and you don't really know who they are, so you can't find any footage on them. So you got to adapt pretty quickly. Yeah.
No, when we have had fighters and combat people on before, and you never want to be like, well, what if you don't win? But I guess the only reason I ask is because of how disconnected you were talking about feeling before. Like, do you allow yourself to think about what if you don't go over and win gold, and whether that will fuck you up, or like whether you need to have things in place to be sort of like, or is it just one of those things you need the steel mind of like, I'm going to do it?
I think regardless, win, lose or draw, right, at the next year's Olympics, like there's going to be a lull, and I went through that last year, and I think I'm preparing for it now, just knowing that even if I do win a gold, like I'm going to feel shit at some point, right? It might not be instantly, it might be 6 months later, but you got to come down from that mountain one day. And I'm preparing for that now, even thinking about I'll probably go back into professional boxing after and see where that takes me. But like eventually I won't be boxing. I'm going to be thinking about, hey, what are we doing after that? Like, you know what I mean? You dedicate your whole life to something from the age of 9. I don't have a degree, don't have a qualification. Like I was a plumber for 2 years and I'm shit out of that. So I'm not going back to that. Like I've got to figure out what I'm doing. So I'm thinking about that now though, which I'm grateful for.
So you don't ever go, listen, if it all falls over, I just get back on the tools, put the tool belt back on.
The thought of that makes me feel very sick. My brother would be loving it though. I swear that bastard is like slave labour. I've worked with him like a few times. He's a plumber. He's got his own business. And when your brother asks you to do something, like I'm never going to say no. He's like my best mate. And I swear he just gets me doing the shittest jobs and never fucking pays me. Never fucking pays me.
Pay your brother.
Yeah.
Hey, what's his name?
Jack,
come on, mate.
Come on, Jack.
Can't, mate.
Hey, brother. Stop making him do the poo job. Stop
Can't,
making him in there
mate.
fucking
Can't,
hands and
mate.
knees covered in feces.
How are you reflecting on this preparation versus for Tokyo? Is it completely different? Is it feeling like slipping into an old pair of jeans? Does it feel like home?
Yeah, it's funny. Like I love getting deep, so I was about to apologise for it, but I love it.
Don't apologise, buddy.
There was a big resistance to it, right? Because I've done so much work on myself, and I've always knew that there was a miscreant in me, and I just knew that something wasn't right inside myself from an early age, right? There was like, I feel like I'm swinging between a pendulum, right? I'm the happiest guy in the room, or I don't want to be here, right? And I feel like I've been swinging that pendulum for a long time. Very rarely am I in the middle, right? And it's not about ridding yourself of those things. It's about learning to manage them, like for myself. And I think there was a big resistance because in order for me to be successful for most of my boxing career prior to Tokyo, I fed this little beast inside of me that just felt like I was so small. I was shit. Every training session wasn't good enough. You mean I just was like so hard on myself, and every time you lost, you're critiquing yourself more. Even when you win, you're like, nah, you can do better. It's not the Olympic gold. Like, if that makes sense. Everything was so negative. And post-Olympics, I really worked on myself a lot. And I feel like for the first time in my life, I feel more secure in my own skin than I ever have before. And I'm almost like, there was like a big resistance to trying for Paris because I was like, I know the pattern that's worked before. And I think in order to win a gold medal, I have to feed that little beast more. more than I ever have before.
Really?
And I'm like, I feel happy in my own skin than I ever have. And I'm like
Just starting to fucking enjoy myself.
I'm like terrified of it, but I'm also like, I've been talking to sports psychs and a few people about it because I do believe that could also be the thing that made me a bronze medalist, not a gold medalist. Right? Because it's like someone like a Tom Brady, Serena Williams, Tiger Woods, they believe they're the best. Kelly Slater, they know they're the best. They're just performing, right?
Yeah.
And me always critiquing myself, always going, you're not good enough. It's like that was playing into it, right? Yeah.
Fully.
So you flip that on its head and absolutely have the same attention to detail when it comes to training and showing up and putting everything into it. But change a few things with your mindset. Hey, you are an Olympic gold medalist. You can do this. Like, fucking no, you're not good enough.
Have you found that has maintained a more positive outlook generally in your preparation?
Yeah.
Have you still found it difficult?
It's still early days.
Yeah.
It's still very early days. So I've only fought in one tournament, I guess, since the jungle.
Was that where you went over to like Kyrgyzstan or some shit? Or am I?
No, that was early this year. That was before the jungle.
Oh, okay. Was that before the jungle? Oh,
Yeah,
right.
yeah. But yeah, it was in Perth. We fought at the national
okay.
titles. So, but yeah, it's very early in, I guess, in the preparation. But I have noticed like the tendencies. It's like we're patterns. We run the same patterns nonstop, and I have noticed in some of my training sessions, I find myself going, "You fucking weak dog," which is a good thing, right? It makes you. But as long as you're not like leaving there going like fuck,
Feeling it.
yeah, feeling it, right?
Is that
Yeah.
what you use to motivate yourself, like when you're in those deep training sessions? We had a big training session yesterday, actually. And,
Huge.
I've seen some of your numbers actually. I saw.
well,
them.
don't look at all of them. Look at Eddie's, maybe.
you
Don't
see
look
mine?
at mine too much.
Yeah, I saw them.
bad.
Yeah,
I got
great.
slower
You
over
almost
12
You almost
weeks.
doubled everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got slower over
Don't
12
get
weeks
slower.
by like a minute.
How do you manage that?
I did it pretty easily, actually.
Yeah. Don't have a crack. Too much sugar. Heaps of piss.
Yeah. No, there are ways. Don't worry. I can teach you. If you want to go backwards, I can.
But so we had a really hectic session.
We had a hectic session yesterday, but, I kept screaming out.
Here's another one, boys. Sorry.
Oh, all right,
Okay.
what are we doing?
You've done this one before. It's touched something, and this chair's
fuck
the
yeah,
best
these
to
chairs,
touch.
dude.
Mate, well, you're in the
in the
velvet.
chair.
You're in
Yeah.
the velvet.
1970s,
Everyone loves that chair.
5-piece modular.
Being it, even just like feel your shorts. That's stupid. Just
Yeah. Shout out to Quick Dry Material. It's elite.
So it's denim. Is this denim or is denim a colour?
That's denim.
Yeah.
Denim's
I know it's a material, but
it's a cotton, isn't it? Yeah. Denim's a cotton. Yeah. We've been over this. Tom.
Yeah, we have.
We've been over this. What are you saying to yourself when you're into like your 18th round on the bag or sparring or something, and you're just hurting, every part of you aching? Is there like a mantra you've got? Do you find yourself reflecting on the same thing or saying the same thing, or is it horses for courses?
there's probably a lot of like swear words in it. Just you fucking weak dog. Like, yeah, but it's always like it's almost like I feel like I'm quite addicted to just seeing. I'm sure Ned Brockman could probably talk into this more than anyone, but just like addicted to see how far I can push it, right? And it's like someone messaged me on Instagram recently, like, I'm a boxer, I'm lacking a bit of motivation, and I was like trying to think of an answer for him. And I actually just think like I'm addicted to seeing how far I can take this, whatever it is, whether it be boxing, triathlons, anything physical, and just seeing how far I can take it, right?
So is that like when you're in, say, like a hectic session though, does that energy or that approach pertain to like even just see how hard I can flog myself right now?
Yeah.
Training in this very moment. Like,
It's very much, and it really helps when you're younger, right? But I'm only 26, but I have noticed in the last 2 years, you're recovering slower, your muscles are aching a little bit more.
34.
Exactly right. But when you're 18, 19, you can thrash yourself with no recovery. But yeah, I think, I don't know, every session it's almost like bullet a gate. Let's go. Let's set and not every session am I reaching my PBs, not every session, but every session I'm like trying to push myself. And I think every high performing athlete does, right? It's just part of what you have to do, because if you don't do it, someone else is going to do it, and they're going to fucking smash it when you show up.
Do you feel like you've got 26, you've been doing it for a long time now, a good understanding of there's pushing yourself, and then there's taking the piss out of yourself. You know what I mean? Like there's redlining, and there's just like pushing yourself.
Blacklining.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
out.
you're going to break something. Like are you sort of conscious of where that line is, or are you still trying to find out what that is?
Yeah, I think we are conscious of what that is. I think most high performing athletes are always teetering on the edge of like overtraining and performing. Like you're always teetering on that, like the sickness, and like you're always teetering on that edge, and that's probably where you find the most results. But yeah, I have definitely felt like a prime example early this week. I'm in like 9 weeks out. I'm trying to get that big foundation base of fitness built. Trained like 4 or 5 times in the day, and then the next day I was fucked.
Four
Stupid.
or 5 times in the day?
Yeah, so I woke up. What I do? I woke up, did a hard running session, 12 400s on a certain pace.
Bro,
12 we're talking about them last. They're the worst thing you can do.
They're a bastard.
The worst thing you can do.
12 of them.
12 400s.
You'd rather do 6 800s than 12 400,
Yeah.
mate. They're awful.
Yeah, it was terrible. And then
How long did that take you?
good question. Probably like 40 minutes. Like
Oh
there was
my
a bit
God.
of space in between them as well.
I'd still be going. Okay, so that's like 7 in the morning, or what time are you starting that in the day?
So that was 7 in the morning.
7.
Yeah, first session. And then I get back home and my mate goes like, you know, I'm living with him. Jack Benny loves the podcast.
Shout out to
He's
Jack.
he's a cyclist, and he's like, mate, do you want to come out for a ride? Just got you a new bike. One of his mates lent me. I'm like, oh, I can't really say no. I don't want to sound weak. So we went for a ride at 10, and then I had weights 2, and then boxing at 4, and then I had ballet that night as well. Ballet's fucking quite hard too.
Jesus.
Yeah, that's stupid. That's stupid.
Yeah.
I probably shouldn't have done that bike session. Everything else would have been fine, but we went pretty hard on the bike too. But yeah, then I felt it the next day, and I was sure because then my performance the next day dropped, and it's not good enough the next day. So you got to be kind of careful about pushing way too hard.
Are you training every single day? Do you have day off?
I'm supposed to have Sundays off, but I find it fucking pretty hard, to be honest.
You just want to like.
I just always want to move my body, and I always find when I don't train, there is periods like after comp, like after Perth a few weeks back, I put on 10 kilos in 2 weeks. Like, don't worry, I was having a good old time.
10 kilos in 2 weeks.
So I've always been like just an extremist, like a great man, good friend of the podcast, Ned Brockman.
Yes.
He said moderation's for cowards, and I couldn't agree more. Moderation, and that's in everything, positive or negative.
Yeah.
Moderation is for cowards.
I subscribe to that mantra.
yeah.
I'm a big
Moderation is for
No, it
cowards. I completely agree with that.
Everyone's always like, oh, like, 'cause I've given up coffee this week. It was like this time last week, I was probably
For
having...
just this week?
Well, this week, I always set little goals for myself every week. This week's coffee. And I feel great. So, like, I didn't feel good 2 days ago.
Yeah.
But I feel good now. But it's like this time last week, I was having 7 coffees, and some of them are double shot. Just like everything is extreme.
I'm a huge I get a Macca's large ice on black.
It's too much. I go, Tom.
He's
that's
always
ridiculous.
like worried about it. He's like, "Did you have a
You
choice
don't
coffee?"
need the 4XL, mate.
I do though.
You don't.
It's just nice to sip on
The
them.
VB long neck.
Yeah,
coffee in the
exactly.
morning.
It's
Yeah,
outrageous. Do you have naps during the day? Are you a
When I'm
napper?
not drinking coffee, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So I always like between my first and second session nap, or try to. Not every day you're able to, and then get up for the second session and go. But I sleep like 9 hours a night as well.
I was going to ask you how often you. Yeah.
Yeah, 9 hours a night, and I love my pro. Like, it's the most important thing for recovery. Ice bars, Novatech boots, all that shit. It's like, it's important. It's like 1 to 5%, but sleep is like 50% of your recovery.
This is going to sound dumb, but I've been getting in me sleep a lot recently. I was not prioritizing my sleep.
We've been over this. You were going to bed too late.
I was
dude.
going to
Like,
bed
you're off your
11,
guts.
12
It's
o'clock,
way too
and then I'm just fucking around, up early, kids.
Mate, I've moved mine as well.
I'm in bed by like 8:30 now.
I'm
I'm just chilling, and it's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
whenever I go down.
I'm starting to look at like 9:15s now. Loving it. Like 9:15, up at 6:15, 9 hours.
Yeah.
Oh,
How good do you feel?
Oh, mate, you feel unbelievable.
I've really thought about this, right? Because I actually think a massive portion of this population just operate at this like halfway frequency. They're operating at a shit frequency, and they think that's normal.
Yeah.
They think that they feel like sluggish all the time. That's not normal.
No.
We're actually we're like Ferraris. Our bodies are like Ferraris if we want to treat them that way.
Yeah.
And it's like when you get sleep, when you drink water, when you probably don't have too much caffeine, you have a decent diet, not amazing diet, but decent diet. It's like you will feel so much like better, not sluggish.
And sleep, just the easiest. All I'm asking you to do here is nothing. Just do nothing earlier in the night. Yeah. Just fucking close your eyes, and you're gonna wake up and feel $1 million. Today, fucking, I had like 8-9 hours sleep last night. I woke up fucking 5:30.
Look at you.
Look at me, I'm fucking beaming. Now, I've had about 3 liters of coffee today, but we're baby steps.
Baby steps, buddy. Baby steps.
So I always find it interesting, like, the improvements that you can make, like you're an athlete already, you've been professional, are they really minor improvements that over a period of time sort of add up? And like, what are the things that do you have specific focuses where you're like, maybe you're quicker and you're smaller, so like you want to work on your power, or speeds, your strength, so you want to just try and make it even better? Or is it across the board? Like, how do you approach improvement in the boxing sense?
So I'm really grateful that I guess now I have gone back to the amateurs, because in the amateurs it's government run, so there's like, it's like an organisation, and they generally have everything at your fingertips. You've got a strength coach, you've got a boxing coach, you've got a dietitian, sports psych, and like, yeah, you're not making money, but you got all those services, right? And it's great because all of them are like specialties in their field. And I, as an athlete, my job's easy. I just show up and fucking perform. Like, try your hardest. That's it. Whatever they say jump, you say how high. And I think obviously there is certain things that I focus on when my boxing coach tells me certain things. Like, I'm not a massive puncher. I know I never have been. And there's a few things that I can work on in my weights that would transition into the boxing, but it's just very much showing up and having a fucking dip, like having a crack. That's all it is. Like, that's all an athlete's job is. And like, athletes, don't get me wrong, there's like any industry, there's like positives and negative things that go on, but it's like, mate, my job, I get paid to do something I love, right? I don't make money anymore, but like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm doing something I love every day. I don't really have to worry about bills that much anymore, but it's like, it's the best. Like, my life is not hard. Anyone who says an athlete's life is hard, it's like, hey, go do, you obviously don't love what you do. Go do something else.
Go try Badil Dave. Real tough.
Real tough.
Over here.
How are these? Are they still called amateur competitions, or are they? Like, how would you describe Olympic boxing? It's not amateur anymore, or it is?
Yeah, so professional boxers can go, but it's still classified as amateur boxing.
Right.
They probably should change the wording of both amateur and professional. It's just 3-round boxing. It's like a tennis tournament. You lose, you're out.
Yep.
You can fight the best guy first up. You can fight the worst guy first up. Just the luck of the draw, I guess. But the standard, I've really thought about this recently. The standard between like amateur and professional, I think professional is a business. I do think the quality is higher. Like, at that top end, the quality is pretty fucking good. Canelo Alvarez, the lightweights at the moment, they look fucking amazing. Like, I think the quality is better because money's involved. But I think overall, amateurs is more honest and more pure because, like, you don't get to pick who you fight. You don't get to have a cushioned record until you're 20-0 and you're rated because you've fought you've picked and chose who you're fighting.
Yeah.
Like, I could go next year, right, train and I could fight the guy who wins the gold medal in my first fight, right? You mean? Or,
so it's not seeded?
No, there is some seedings, but like, it's very, very minimal. Very minimal, yeah. So it's just the luck of the draw.
How often can you fight in a day? How many times?
Once a day.
Just once? Yeah.
Yeah, once a day. And there has to be like, I think it's like 12 hours between fights. So like, say if you fight at night, you can't fight until like tomorrow, the next day or something like that.
Yeah,
so
right.
There is a couple of rules, but it's very much just one a day. The hard thing about amateur boxing, you got to weigh in every day you fight. So like, 63.5 is going to be a push.
Oh, so you can't cut, really?
You can, but you just got to be very careful about what you put on because you got to weigh in the next time you fight.
So is it kind of better then that you got to weigh in every day in the sense that you're fighting more at your truer weight, or are you just constantly cutting?
You can't. Yeah, you're constantly cutting. You can't cut as much as professional boxing. Definitely not. Like in professional boxing, I was making 61 easy. And then I put on like 7 or 8 kilos in 30 hours, and then you fight the next day, right? And you're fine because you don't have to weigh in again.
What do you weigh generally now? Like, what would you
70?
70.
So what do you fight at?
63.5. Yeah.
So you're still cutting a little bit.
Still cutting a bit. I think my optimal training weight would be like 68.
Yep.
That's what I feel like really good. Like not feeling sick at any point, not feeling lack of energy. But yeah, like that's the hard thing. You almost like you fight 9 minutes, it's a short fight, 9 minutes, fast pace. And then after your fight, every boxer is getting in their sweat gear, getting ready for the next weigh-in. You have a harder session after your fight than what you do fighting.
Wow. Because you want to make weight again.
You're going to make
weight.
weight.
And then you put it back on, and then you fight, and then Jesus Christ. And how many fights can you have in a tournament?
A big tournament like the Olympics, no more than 5.
No more than 5.
Yeah, so Com Games 2018, I had 5 fights in 10 days.
Yep.
Yeah.
Damn. Are you sore from previous fights? Like, if you get like bruised face and shit, and you're like coming in to throw down again?
Yeah, the biggest thing, because they've taken head guards off now, because professional boxing is quite slow paced because there's longer rounds and smaller gloves, so a bit more crowd pleasing, one punch knockout or something like that. But amateur boxing is fast paced, right? It's very fast paced. You're fitting in a lot in 9 minutes, and there's a lot of head clashes, a lot of cuts. So that's probably the biggest thing. If you get cut in your first fight, you're thinking, "Fuck, I've got to manage this throughout the tournament."
Yeah.
And if that opens, the referee sometimes stops the contest. But yeah, besides that, like, mate, once you limber up, bit of WD-40 in the joints, you're flying.
Do you ever cut man at like in between rounds?
Yeah, if you need.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
so
There's
it's similar
always
in that
there's
way.
three coaches. Yeah,
You
three
got your
coaches
point,
in the
yeah.
corner. There's primary coach, secondary coach, and then there's the cut man.
Yep. Okay.
Are you allowed boys, like couple of fellas in the corner there? To, like,
Yeah,
you
water
come
boys,
back?
your boys coming in.
Yeah, we come back in. Yeah,
We see ourselves as boys, like boy the boys in
yeah,
that.
we just
Yeah.
fucking,
Or the boy.
Mate, imagine doing that for the whole Australian team.
Well,
Love
listen,
that.
our priority would be you, but if the nation needs us, we'll dedicate some time.
We can boy other boys and girls.
Yeah, Dean Boxall thinks he's fucking got energy.
Do you walk out to music?
Nah.
You don't?
Some tournaments you do, but not the Olympics. Oh, and saying that, actually, I'm pretty sure I did walk out to I walked out to KSAN.
Love
Olympics,
that.
My choice. Yeah,
Love that.
What a
They
track.
get you up and about.
Yeah.
What's the tactics like for a 3-round? How long are the 3 minutes?
threes, yeah.
3 threes. Like, what's obviously tactically? I assume it's a little bit different than when you've got a longer professional fight.
Yeah, it's one of those things, right? Because you know who you're fighting usually in the professionals 1 month, 2 months, 3 months in advance.
Yep.
So you can prepare. You can get all your sparring tailored to the person you're fighting. It's like in amateur boxing, you just got to prepare for everyone. And I think the best athletes are the ones who can adapt the quickest, because it's like you get in there after a minute, you've read the bloke already, and you go, okay, this is what he does, this is what he likes to do, like, and you can read it very quickly. And the bet that's
In a minute.
it's pretty quick. And that's what getting deep again. My childhood, right? Like, I love my mum to bits. She's an amazing lady, but she was raising 3 boys, and I'm the youngest. And I used to have to like walk in, and my mum was that stressed out that like I would walk in, and either my mum's fucking flipping it, or like my mum's okay. But it was just very much like I felt so uneasy walking into my house, and I'd have to read my mum's energy quickly.
Right, yeah.
And that's one of the biggest assets to have in boxing. So
Yeah.
thanks, Mum. appreciate it heaps. Because that's all boxing is, right? You're walking in and you're just reading the guy's energy, reading him real quick. What's he doing? Where's he twitching? Like what can I fucking make him do? Make him fight my fight. Like how can I? And that's all boxing is. It's the best.
So you're reading like almost body tells and shit. Like,
Yeah, I don't know if it's like consciously, but I very much do think it is subconscious. Like it's very primitive and primal. And I think just like any sport, right? Like when you see Kelly Slater surfing, it's like he's not thinking, he's just doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so
Flow state.
so instinctual, and it's just happening. Like he's just in the flow, yeah.
Are you almost watching yourself going, fuck, dude, nice punch? Like, you know what I mean? Like, where'd that come from, bruh? That was mad.
There is sometimes in sparring. I probably haven't felt that much in a fight, but sometimes in sparring when you spar, like when you're in flow and you're sparring someone who's probably a bit lesser than you, and you're fucking
Pacing
moving
them
good.
up.
You're thinking, geez, that was good. It doesn't happen that often.
And so how's it scored?
So it's the same as professional boxing, 10-9 rounds.
10
And
right
then
now, okay.
if there's a knockdown or like a point loss or like a really clear dominance, 10-8.
Have they changed that? Because I remember watching boxing back in the day where like there would be a score that was like ticking up on the telecast.
Yeah, so there used to be point system, and I know the point system was kind of cool. I grew up on that. And it's just like if you hit the area with your certain part of your glove, you get 1 point.
Yep.
It's a clear shot. But there was a lot of corruption in that, just like there is corruption in this one too. But yeah, I think I personally like this one better because it's more based on like ring dominance,
Yep.
right? It's based on like, as a fighter, you kind of know like if you've won or lost. Like you can understand that fights are close and it could go either way. And a big portion of amateur boxing, 3 rounds isn't enough time to really determine a winner. But like, I think it's just like ring dominance, and you can sort of tell who wins most rounds. Yeah.
what do you think about like the state of like do you keep a close eye on the state of boxing in Australia now and like globally? Like you enjoy the professional side of it?
I love sport in general, right? But I don't particularly follow it too much. But I do know that we're in a golden era of boxing right now.
Yeah.
Like this is an exciting time. Obviously, what Tim Tszyu is doing overseas, about to fight in Gold Coast soon against Mendoza, who's like the second best guy in the division besides Charlo, obviously, but he's fighting Canelo. That's like, neither of those boys needed to take that fight. And it's like, I fucking respect that so much. Yeah. Mano v Mano. Let's get it on.
Tim's been pretty cool like that since Charlo's been fucking. I mean, it's hard for me to say he's ducking, considering I'm who I am. Like, he's a fucking pussy, mate. Charlo's a pussy. But like the fact that he has been taking all these fights in between, it's almost like already respected him, obviously, but like.
He's got more respect.
He's got way more respect, I think, from the
100%.
general public as well. Like just for it's like holy shit, this guy's
he's not taking the easy fights.
Yeah,
and I love that. And this is going to be an absolute belter of a fight, absolute belter. That Mendoza he's fought 3 times, I think 3 knockouts in a row against class opponents. Like he's really good, really crafty. He wasn't expected to win most of those 3 fights, but he's on the projects up, and so's Tim. So it's a fucking great fight for boxing.
Why don't you watch it? Just not like that interested generally, or is there part of it that there's some sort of like?
So like all sport, I love watching the art. It's like watching. This is a weird one, but I went to a piano concert when I was in Melbourne. Like this guy was like fucking world famous. I just love watching someone who's like amazing at what they do, world best or whatever. They could be the best ticket inspector, and you know what I mean. Just watching them.
That's
go
very specific.
I'm like thinking, fuck over again.
Best parking officer of all time.
Look how efficient he is.
Look
Just
at
look at the way he moves.
Oh, the fuck! Look at him.
You know what I'm saying?
Revenue
Someone
raise.
who's really good. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But like, I think what were we talking about?
Just about
why don't you
why
watch
you don't watch
boxing?
as much boxing.
I think I love watching the art, but I'm a doer. I like doing things.
Okay.
Yeah, I like being in the arena. I don't like critiquing on the side.
And that's
I'm the opposite.
yeah. No, yeah, we're not
I don't know. You boys fucking ran a marathon, didn't you?
Yeah.
Oh, we did run a marathon.
Listen,
Yeah,
you didn't need to bring it up, but we did. We did run a marathon last year.
dining out on it still.
And you know what? This year we were marathon ambassadors because of it.
Yeah.
So you never know.
No, where your next gig's coming from.
You never know what's going to put food on the table.
You do a bit of commentary as well, right? With main event and stuff. Do you enjoy that?
Yeah, there's something about live TV that is just such a thrill because it's like you could fuck your life up right now. There's such a thrill to it. But yeah, it's a lot of fun, and obviously, like post boxing, I hope I'm going into something like that. Obviously, would like to do things as well. Like a big portion of my life has been so self-focused on my goals, my dreams, my ambitions, where it's like I've felt it in the last couple of years where it's like I think there's a natural thing that life isn't actually about us as individuals. It's about the impact we can have on other people. You probably notice that when you're a father, like, or you're helping other people with whatever. So I definitely think I'd love to go into commentary, but I also want to do something where it's like you're giving back while also being rewarded as well.
You said last time when we were on here, and I remember Tom told the story about you like to put yourself in situations that make you uncomfortable, like you were washing windows and stuff. What have you been up to lately?
I've done
Anything you want to share?
Yeah, I've done a few good ones. So like, I don't know how uncomfortable. Maybe this is probably a funny story. I went to a nude beach. Oh yeah. And I love getting naked.
Well, I've seen you in a zoot suit. He's hogged up. It was after a run or something. I'm like, yeah, I could see that at a nude beach. I
Sure.
can pretty much see it anyway.
The Sunshine Coast, and I look up online where's it hidden nude beach, and I go to this beach. It's pretty early in the morning, maybe like 9 o'clock. No one on the beach. I'm thinking, fuck, this is a bit quiet.
Anticlimactic.
Yeah, anticlimactic. So I'm sitting there, just got naked, just sitting there having a good time. And then like 10 Asian tourists, fully clothed, walking. And I'm thinking, I think I've got the wrong fucking beach. I think I got the wrong beach. And I'm messaging the people who helped me find the place. I'm like, I think I'm at the wrong beach because they just dropped me off. There was 2 girls. They dropped me off and they went to another beach. I think I'm at the fucking wrong beach.
Oh my god!
So I'm just like laying there naked. Asian tourists are walking past. I'm like, fuck.
Were you at the wrong
Were you
beach?
at the wrong beach?
Well, we ended up doing, so there was a smaller beach, like the one across. So yes, I was at the wrong beach.
Oh my god!
I'm lucky it was early in the morning.
Big sandy hog just laying there, fucking.
Imagine getting done for like, you know, indecent exposure or something. Like,
Okay, that's the last thing at the moment. Harry Garside's found fucking
Mate, I
butt-ass naked.
respect you doing that. I remember me and Ella there's a nudist beach in like near Balmoral, and I was like, we'll go down there, nice day. And she's like, but it's a nudist beach. I'm like, nah, there won't be anyone down there. Get down there, and it's fucking packed, like hundreds of nudists down there.
Oh,
and I was
really?
just like, we're just walking around, me and Ella, and I'm like maybe looking for a spot to like perch up, not get naked, but like just get in the water. And then I just look at each other. I'm like,
But like, I mean,
Not
going to a
for
nudist
me.
beach and not getting naked, it's kind of like
Yeah,
you're drawing so much. You're
Correct.
drawing more attention to yourself than the
too
dude
much
with his dick
No,
out.
we were
like,
looking for like an area like there was, a bit sort of quiet,
Semi-nude.
and well, just like
not nude.
not nude, right?
We're on the wrong beach.
But there was no part of me that's like, fuck it.
No.
Nah, not my cup of tea.
Yeah,
I get it for it. Sorry, you go.
Yeah, this
But
month
you're
I'm
hooked
doing-
up, so maybe that's
Yeah.
This month I'm doing is it colonic? Is that what it's called?
Oh, yeah,
Irrigation?
the-
I'm sort of running out of ideas. Like there's a few things on my list that I really need to tick off, like stand up comedy.
Oh.
I'm organising that
Yes.
in November. That's gonna be an absolute cracker because I'm
Can you let us know when you do it?
I don't think I'll
Please
be
let
letting
us
anyone
know.
know. I've told all my
We'll
mates.
promote it on the podcast.
I've told all my mates in high school, they're like, fuck, make sure you let us know. We'll come. We won't even fucking laugh. I imagine awkward that be. All my mates rock up. They don't fucking show any
Just sit there
support.
like, no, exactly. It's like,
Mate of mine did it because he lost a bet. He like came last in his NFL fantasy, and he did it in New York. But one of my other mates filmed him doing it. It was one of the toughest watches I've ever been through. It was. Shout out Johnny Gate. It was appalling.
yeah, and you're like, you just go, like, you're transported into the room when he's doing it. You're just like, holy shit, dude. Oh my God.
Have you boys ever done any stand up?
No.
No.
Fuck
No. We did something at the comedy club.
We've
which
done like
was-
live events and shit, which like there's an element of like,
But that
stand-up.
one
it's not like, oh, here's a joke I've written. You know what I mean? Where it's like, and it's on you.
But we were trying to make people laugh with.
True.
That was like a set.
Yes, we had a set.
I've never been more nervous.
But it
in my
worked. We were like, 'cause
life, dude.
it was like, so the great cricketer, friends of the show, they did a live show at the Comedy Store. We opened for them. And this was when we were like, this was a few years ago now, like our audience is much smaller. Most people wouldn't have known who we were in the crowd. So you're not like doing a fucking something in front of your audience that knows you. Like you've got a friendly audience there. So like they can already get all your shtick. So we were fucking bricking it, dude. Like couldn't sleep the night before. I'm like laying on his couch like at 4 a.m. before we got to go do it. And I'm trying to fall asleep just to like get a couple of, well, we're literally just fucking we still hadn't like finished it.
We hadn't written it, and
But
he
to
was in
perform it
radio
that
at the
night.
time, so he's getting up at like 3 a.m. to go to work. So he had to have a nap, and I'm like, dude, we haven't written it. He's like, I need to have a nap. I'm like, Jesus Christ, mate, we're up against it. He were writing it, rewriting it, and he hadn't mentioned to me, but he was like shitting himself about the fact that we could bomb. I hadn't even considered that.
He said
And
that to me after. He's like, I hadn't even thought of it. I'm like, how the fuck did you not consider that this isn't going to go well?
I was like, I wouldn't. If you'd put that in my head, I don't know if I would have got up there. I'd have been like, nah, I'm not doing it. I'm having a sickie.
Nah. But
Like-
thank Christ it worked.
We got a couple of laughs early out the gate, but mate, if we didn't get those early laughs,
It's like the
baby.
ultimate humiliation, isn't it? Like
Yeah.
that
It's
is like
hectic.
because no human wants to be embarrassed. It's like that is the worst.
Yeah.
feeling.
And it is good. Like, I can see the element of like putting yourself, I know you like to do it like in these uncomfortable situations. There's very little that's like that socially uncomfortable than something like that where you're so exposed and like having a fucking, you just, it's so obvious the success and failure because the feedback is immediate and you're just
Yeah.
like, oh shit. If you play music, you know, like you playing a song up there or something, like you don't really have a fucking idea if anyone likes it or not. You might know if people really love it, but if people hate it, it's a bit of a different story.
Yeah.
I saw one of the ones you were doing where you were holding like a yoga pose, and I was
Oh,
like, you
that-
couldn't
yeah.
have picked like a more fucked pose.
So
Like-
someone said called the frog pose, and someone sent it to me on Instagram. It's like I think it was
We're
something
going to
like-
put a picture of it in the YouTube.
Yes, some yogi bear sent it to me on Instagram and was like, apparently it's trauma release. I did that for like, so a minute and a half first day. It was 28 days, month of Feb. And by the end of it, I think it was 48 minutes in my math.
And that's what was wigging me out. I was like, doing it for a minute's fine, but that position for 40 minutes.
I was crying for some of it.
Oh,
There was
really?
some days where I was genuinely crying, like where I was like, it is actually supposed to be apparently some like trauma releases. I don't
Maybe
like
it just
some-
fucking hurts.
Yeah, some spiritual thing. But like there was sometimes I was like laughing, crying. Like I went through a whole range of emotions that month.
And like,
Wow.
but I was trying to work out whether there's a part of me that wants to get down to the ground and try and show you what it is. But
Can you show me? You may as well.
and look, I'm you're critiquing, so I might get it wrong. But like,
Oh, he's in jeans as well.
it's sort of like this, right? Like you sort of like
Yeah, you're on your yeah, like
that?
that. Yeah,
feet together.
a little bit further in, as in your knees. Your knees a
Bring your
little bit-
knees under you.
Yeah, knees under you. And then but you got jeans on, and then you're trying to bring your knees out as far as you can. Yeah.
And he's doing that, and I hope no one saw me trying to it was fucking wasn't exactly poetry in motion, but like I would have thought that might actually do you some damage.
I was pretty stiff, and I was training like full time at that time as well, because I was competing in Europe, and I was generally pretty stiff in my hip flexors for sure. Yeah.
Were you a bit like, okay, maybe let's not do one where I could fucking be injured?
Yeah, when you're in it, you're sort of just like, I'm said I'm doing this.
Yeah.
It's so important, right? Like I've always thought when we're the most unhappy, or when I'm the most unhappy with myself, it's when you're not upholding those little promises you make to yourself. Yeah. And then anytime I'm ever unhappy, or anytime I'm ever flat, the next day I fast for 24 hours. It's like a little reset for myself, because it's like I get my word back when I fast. It's a hard thing to do, and you fucking do it.
Okay, so like if you haven't done what you said you're going to do, then you're like...
Say if I'm feeling flat, if it's consistently over time, I'm going, geez, I'm feeling a bit shit. Like, I don't know what's going on. The next day fast, and it's like usually just such a reset, because it's like I take power back and I've got my word back.
What do you think it is a mental reset, or do you think it's like a physiological reset as well?
There obviously is like scientific evidence about what fasting can do to you, but it's more mental. Everything's more mental for me. Like,
do you ever fast longer than that?
I've done 3 days before. I'm going to try and do a 7-day in December.
7?
Yeah.
7 days?
That's going to be an
Can you drink
challenge.
water?
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
water
you
and
have to
black
drink
coffee.
water, right?
Water and black coffee, that'll be...
Okay, right.
Yeah.
Just getting the lay of the land.
No. He'd be dead though, I think, if he didn't know.
You're right, but maybe this guy's superhuman.
Well, there's that too.
Because Willie Mason's a big faster.
Yeah,
he goes 72 hours all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was in the middle of a 72-hour fast, wasn't he, when he came in?
Yeah. Yeah.
Just like lemon in water and shit.
I don't know the full science behind it, but there is, I think it's like, it obviously regenerates you. Apparently it kills cancer cells. Apparently it builds muscle somehow, because when you then do eat and train, you're like, your body like seems to latch onto it and get bigger. Right. Because it thinks it's going to be stressed again.
Yep.
So there's a few things to it, which is great.
So I'm fasting, and I'm a faster these days.
You don't think you haven't done 3 days?
Fuck no, I've done it.
Producer Tommy Tobler, he fasted for 48 hours because he had to get down to 85 kilos in order to win a bet.
He lost like 15 kilos for the marathon, right? Which is fantastic.
Congratulations, mate.
But then we were like, if you get to 85 or under, we'll give you like cash. It was like a fucking incentive if you can get there.
Cash prize.
Cash prize. Yeah. And mate, I got in there on the way in on the Monday, and I've just opened the door, and he's already sitting at his desk, and he's looked over at me, and I'm like, fuck, dude, what's wrong with you? And he's like, I haven't eaten since Saturday. I'm just trying to cut weight to get under fucking 85 kilos. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, he did 2 pisses. He's like, so what, is this like the only weighing we get? I go, how many weighings do you think we're just going to keep weighing you in forever until you can win the bet, mate?
In his robe and shit. And I'm like, go on, fucking get the last little bit out of it. But you didn't even just scrape under. You got quite a
0.6.
0.6. Okay, so like not shitloads under, but enough.
Yeah,
like you're
enough,
under.
yeah.
How can we keep along with your journey? Are we going to be able to watch you in November? Is that something I can tune into? Because I'd like to.
Yeah, it's a good question. I think there probably would be a link somewhere. It's the Pacific Games in Solomon Islands.
Okay.
There'll be a few other sports as well that are going on. It's like a big multi-sport event.
Yep.
But yeah, I think there would be a link, but pretty much between now and like I'm just traveling heaps. Like I won't be in Sydney that much. I love Sydney. I won't be in Melbourne that much. I love like Melbourne is where my family is. I'll just be like overseas or interstate training or here and there, like just very much living out of a suitcase next year.
What's between now and that fight, or in the next year?
Next year.
Yeah, right. Yep. Okay. In between now and your Pacific Games, you're sort of pretty sedentary. Like you're not.
So I do go to Italy and Germany next month just for competition and training.
Oh shit!
Yeah. And then I come back for I think 2 weeks back to Melbourne. I'll be here in Sydney until then, but come back after Europe to Melbourne for 2 weeks and to Brisbane to train, then to Solomon Islands. So just always moving.
Yeah. As an amateur, do you have to fund those trips yourself?
I used to have to. So how shit's this, right? So 18 years old, fresh out of school. I was working with my dad as a roof tiler, slave labour, $500 a fucking day for a slave labour, working really hard for my old man. And I was training in the morning, and then I'd have to train at night after work. And I tried for the Rio Olympics when I was 18 years old, took a few months off work trying to sort of get to the Olympics. Failed to make it, and I still had to pay for the trips because I wasn't on the funding list. So I was on $15,000 debt. And I'm like on $500 a week trying to be an aspiring boxer. But then fortunately, I think just before the Com Games, I got put on the funding list. So there's not many boxers that are on the funding list. But
So you got put on specifically?
Yeah, just like if you keep showing performances
they'll
internationally,
put you
then
on
you
there,
finally get
okay.
put on. But not every boxer is put on.
Wow. So
Yeah.
some people do have to still pay to get over there and
Amateur athletes, everyone always thinks like the swimmers and stuff like that are on decent coin. I reckon the highest paid, they would obviously have brand deals, which would be quite decent if they got some personality. But I reckon the swimmers, the highest paid swimmer, would be on like $80,000, right?
outside of their brand deals.
Even I don't even know if they'd be on $80,000 now. I think about it because like I'm a podium athlete now, and I get a little bit of funding, and it's nothing near $80,000. Yeah,
Shit.
Gee, like you think about like rowers and fucking sailors and shit. Like
You got to be fucking.
they wouldn't get
dedicated,
anything. You got to be dedicated, seriously dedicated. So what does qualification look like? Like what needs to happen for you?
so we've had it's a 3-step process. Your
Yep.
state titles done,
Yep.
national title done in Perth recently, and then you got 3 chances internationally to qualify. And the first one is the Pacific Games. You got to win it.
Yep.
So if you win that, you qualify. If you
Okay.
don't, there's 2 chances next year. But the aim is to qualify before Christmas, have a few beers with Dad at Christmas Day, and eat a bit of Christmas ham.
Yep.
Put on a bit of weight, and then next year it's just full steam ahead.
Is there any other Australians in your division, or you're the only?
Only Australian.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you just go over to Pacific Islands and beat everyone in the Pacific.
That's the aim. Yep.
Beat them all.
And so that's like no one from Asia, just Australia, New Zealand, and the islands.
Just Australia, New Zealand, and the islands. And we used to the last 2 Olympics we had to go through Asia, and fuck, that was so much harder.
I bet it was.
So much harder. Like prime example, 2012, we went through Pacific Games, full team we qualified. The next Olympics we qualified 3 boxers. Yeah.
Wow.
And is that all of Asia? Is that like Iran and Iraq and like
the Middle East?
Middle East?
And the best countries are boxing, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan.
Yeah.
2 best countries, right? They're in there. It's like, fuck.
Well, fucking oath. Well, let's go over there and pound
Yeah.
some Pacific ass. Thanks for coming on, man. Good to see you.
Legend.
Of course, boys.
Thanks,
for having me
brother.
on.
Good luck.
Could you two just not talk anymore?